Hello again. So in this video we're going to take a look at the rotary finishing operation. So to do so we're going to go back into the machining menu, and for the sake of expedience we're gonna not quite cheat a little bit, okay? So I am going to click on add operation instead of the drop down menu again so we get the window. I'm going to click on 4D rotary. And if I click on Rotary Finishing here, I'm going to look to the right and we can see there's a Fill Parameters by Operation checkbox. Now, this basically will try and lift as much information as it can out of the previously defined operation so that you don't have to go through and reset everything. Which, when you're dealing with sort of very finicky small areas and all you really want to change is like one feature or just one particular setting and then redo it, that's very useful. So in this instance, it serves our needs perfectly. So I'm going to click on Create now. And what it will have done is it will have saved our tool orientation, and it will have saved our rotary table vector information. It will have saved the strategies information, such as the rotary axis orientation and the like. Absolutely perfect. Saves us a lot of hassle there. It does still retain the slightly increased tolerance value that I gave, so we can tighten that down a bit to bring it back to the default, or we can leave that as is. For the sake of argument, I'm going to bring that back to the default setting, so we've got as close to perfectly accurate as we can manage. And beyond that, we now also have, under links and leads, the inherited avoid collisions. All of our tool settings are accurate. So I think at this stage, what we can do is we can afford to generate the toolpath and see what comes out. So this might take a few seconds longer to generate, since there is a little bit more that it has to calculate for, especially with the proximity to the actual part. So to save you from having to stare at a progress bar here, I'm going to pause the video and come back when it's finished. So in the interests of being completely honest with you, that did take about a minute to calculate. Again, that's due to the increased tightness of the tolerance value, as well as being as immediately proximate to the final surface finish as well, because there's a bit more geometry in there than just making a simple roughed out cylinder. Okay. Anyway, we can now simulate this to take a look at how it's going to come out. I will slow it down a little bit so we can see how it looks coming in. Now, as we can see, it jumped straight down to the bottom there from having finished at the top. Using the forwards and backwards definition in the strategy tab, I believe it is, we can save ourselves a couple of seconds of transition there by telling it to start at the top and work down. That's an entirely personal decision. If it's an instance where time is absolutely of the essence and every second counts, then it's something that I recommend doing, because it diminishes the amount of time that the robot has to undergo transitions between operations. However, for the sake of this, it fits fine as it is. And with that, I'm just going to speed this up a little bit now. With that, we have our final fully machined twisted pillar. As I say, the rotary roughing and finishing operations, very quick, very easy to use, and for the sake of being able to produce parts simply and quickly, they're second to none. However, we can do more complicated things to get a more precise surface finish, should you so choose. Specifically, given the geometry of the actual form, what we can do is we can emphasize the difference between these flat planes and these curved planes, which is what we're going to be doing in the next video, because we're going to take a look at the 4D surfacing options. So, I will see you in the next video. Catch you then.